So I feel like I needed to speak about this, and also for me to make my voice heard from people like all around the world. Not as much. Oh, it's really hard for me to speak about this because I'm not really good at saying something or like conveying how I feel. Um, but this is like the most strongly I felt um, in a long time. I'll start off by explaining what happened on the 31st of March on Sunday. We went, me, Kenneth, Amadeus, Shay, Zainab, Haida. Um, Forgive me if I forgot anyone else who was there. And thousands of others. We all went and we uh, marched in Trafalgar Square, and it went all the way to the U.S. Embassy, where we made our voices heard and we made a stance, and we took the march all the way to Latimer Road. And a lot of people were saying, what was the point of that? But the whole point of that was to make our voices heard. A lot of people don't have social media. A lot of people don't even have TVs, right? These people need to be like looking outside their window while they're quarantined at home and be like, what the hell and what the fuck is happening outside? They need to be aware of what's happening, right? And that's why the march progressed, right? And I've never felt like so like empowered by a certain situation happening, which was this whole civil rights movement, right? Um, Unfortunately, it only happened in recent time, starting off George Floyd's killing, which happened on the 25th of May, and he he was basically using a counterfeit $20 bill, and because of that, he was knelt on and asphyxiated and died, um, and that's what basically erupted this whole thing from happening, right? Um, Also, what happened was with Breonna Taylor, which only came into news light from the from less than like 2 weeks ago, when it happened in the 13th of March, where police came in to their house at night with a warrant that wasn't even for that house, a no knock warrant, and in unclothed officers with just normal clothing burst into their house at the middle of the night, and the licensed firearm owner, which was her boyfriend, fired the first shot at the officer coming through, and then the officers proceeded after that to kill Breonna Taylor right in front of her boyfriend. She was shot 20 times. She was shot 20 times versus the one shot that her boyfriend fired. The police until recently weren't charged with anything, but her boyfriend is still, from my knowledge, incarcerated and is under attempted murder of a police officer. I just wanted to shed light on these injustices happening in society and around us, right? I don't know why in this day and age we can't live together fairly, equally. Like, it don't matter if it's your color, your creed, your sexuality, if you have a disability, if it's because of your religion, if it's just because of, even if you believe in avatars, like, we can't live in this world peacefully. You know, we're all blinded, we're all shielded by the propaganda that the media show us, what they want us to see on our TV screens, which is these looting and all this rioting and all this stuff, which is only a small portion of the biggest civil rights movement to ever grace this earth. And I felt like I needed to shed light on these injustices happening. These were the two main, shed upon killings that happened on the news. There was also Ahmaud Arbery, which is killed when he was just having a jog, by two armed officers. People have to understand, right, that if this thing doesn't concern you, then you are fucking part of the problem. Like, you need to wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Like, there's a lot of people who leave their homes in the morning or go to work when things were normal. They would go to work and they wouldn't have to worry about being stopped, applying for a job, worrying about a routine traffic stop, going to the stores, walking late at night. All these stuff that people are privileged to go out. And it's something we call white privilege, because it's a privilege. You walk out and you don't have to worry about this. White people obviously experience hardships like any other human being would. But the thing is, you can leave your house without worrying about the hardship that you're going to experience injustices because of your skin color. That's hard. That's really fucking hard. So a lot of people who walk out, apply for jobs, but can't. Why? Because of their color of their skin. Plain as day. They will make excuses about it. They will say a certain lie about something, but it's plain as day. It's just because of the color of their skin. They will get a routine traffic stop, but then they would search the car because of the color of their skin. A normal white person will get stopped, ID, everything given out, boom, on your way, sir. An example I wanted to say is, say for example you're walking down the street and there's a police officer and you walk past this police officer. If you was a white person, you would walk past this police officer, and this police officer, it's hard to even think that this will happen, but this happens, right? You walk past this officer will say nothing, right? But the same person, just because the color of their skin, right? Same black guy, different person, black guy, you know what I'm trying to say, right? Walks past this officer stops this person and does a stop and search. Why? Just because the color of their skin. There's so many of these videos and injustices happening of police brutality, police just throwing tear gas, using batons, shooting rubber bullets, using excessive force, when people are just peacefully protesting. And the propaganda that the media shows you is, these people, they're not respecting quarantine rules. These people are not social distancing. Look, these people are looting. They're rioting. They're breaking stuff. Damn you. Shame on you. That's not the fucking point. The point of all of this is for change. For racial equality. to stop inequity from happening, from prejudice from happening, everything from happening, you know? The thing is, if you ask me something, I feel like this whole quarantine situation has tarnished the whole Black Lives Matter movement. Has tarnished it. Because they're using this as an excuse for people not to march, right? Tell me this. Would you like to live in a world after all this COVID thing and this quarantine is lifted, eventually, no more than a couple years, if that, we're still gonna be on this earth and we're gonna have to live with all this inequality in this world? I'd rather die and march doing what I believe than to not make a change, not make my voice heard, and live on this planet. I won't do it. It's unbelievable, unfucking believable. Understand this. This is our movement. This is our generation's movement. A lot of people talk about Martin Luther King and they even quote him, and Malcolm X as well. But you have to understand that these men were fucking hated by people. Hated. So much so, Martin Luther King was killed. I'm not sure about Malcolm X dying. I'll check that. Malcolm X was assassinated as well. So Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, activists, people who wanted equality, people are doing what we have done on these streets, making our voices heard, trying to bring about change, reform, stop the oppression by the oppressors. Killed, slaughtered. They were called racists. They were the one being called racist. People thought that they were the oppressors. Can you believe that? Think about this. This is going to go down in history as one of the biggest things to ever happen. And it's going to be spoken about for years and years to come. Just ask yourself what you want to be known for when this was going on. Do you want to be the person who was silent? Do you want to be the person who didn't speak up, who didn't do go to the march or sign a petition or do anything to help with this or raise awareness, right? Do you want to be, even on another extreme, do you want to be the racist? Do you want to be the oppressor? Do you want to be the people killing these people? Do you want to be making these policies and reforms that make people unable to live in peace and fairness and live their lives? It's really hard. It's really hard. And understand this. This thing is not about no virus. This thing is about something greater. And is a toxic thing a pollutant, a virus of its own, if you will, of racism. More deadly than any virus that you can wash your hands away with. Try wash your hands. If you're a black man or black female like myself, or even any of the BAME groups, try wash your hands and see if the racism goes away. I guarantee it won't. Understand what is happening right now is bigger than fucking ever. Make this change. Educate yourself. Do not be ignorant. Do not be naive to what's happening. Do not take the side of the oppressors and the people that are showing you all this media of what they want to convey in your head. Propaganda is something that you guys have learned about. In schools, they've taught you about this. You can't even see it in front of your face on your phones. If you just come a little bit past that, just a tiny bit, you can actually see what is really happening. If you're able to go to one of these marches, go to one of these marches. You'll see what you see. You'll go home. You'll go home. You'll go to bed, right? And then in the morning, you'll see what the news shows about what happened. So you have to see this stuff firsthand to believe it. If you don't believe me, go do it yourself. Make your voice heard. I'm going to just leave you with this little thing now. And I saw it from Logan Paul's video on one of his podcasts that he does. It is not enough to be neutral now. You have to be anti-racist. You have to be against the oppressors who are containing people and bullying and victimizing people. The real terrorists in power. And you need to bring about change. You need to vote. You need to vote all these people out. You don't need to vote for these people anymore. Vote for good people. Vote for change. That's how we make reform. You need to go on these petition websites. You need to sign petitions so that they can be reviewed by the government. You need to do what you can. You need to spread all this information you can on your social media websites to make people see what is happening. Don't let this propaganda beat us and flood all our phones. That's how we're going to make change. We make change by signing these petitions, going on these marches, educating ourselves, voting, and trying to bring in new reform and policies that stop this oppression from happening. And hopefully we can live in this world where a black man can go down the street and a white man can go down the street and they'll get the same treatment from anyone else they come across. Thank you.